show, and this is KMMU, that is Main Street Media, Utah, and I am your host today, Dalane England. Liberty Moms are the original Secretaries of Defense. We are the real defenders of the home front, and we are there when it comes to defending our families and our communities. I'm so happy to have you with us. We have a wonderful, not a Liberty Mom, but amazing Liberty Dad with us, Representative Trevor Lee. He has 4 children and an amazing Liberty wife. She's a Liberty mom and a Liberty wife. She's awesome. And Trevor is a financial planner. He is totally principled and aligned with the Constitution. I don't really prefer to use the word conservative because I think it's more important to be principled and to have your platform and who you are and your ideology aligned with the Constitution, and that is who Trevor Lee is. He has been a representative for 4 years. Is this your 4th year, Trevor?
Third year.
3rd year. Okay. Well, he's been doing an amazing job, and what a year. So welcome, Representative Trevor Lee.
Thank you for having me, Dalane.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you, and I am so happy to have you as a representative. I am dazzled. I am thrilled. You have absolutely sponsored some of my favorite legislation, and you've done it in such a great way. It's really exciting, and you had a very successful year. I'm really thrilled. So we're going to start with HB 77. That is the flag bill. So I'm going to let you tell about this bill. It is a bill that I love. I've spoken about it everywhere, and I'm really excited about this bill.
Yeah, so the flag bill comes from an idea that we've seen in other states, and also what we tried to run similar type legislation last year.
Yes.
And what it does is it attempts to say, hey, if you're going to fly a flag, which is a symbol of a movement, of identity, of who you are, we want to make sure that on taxpayer-funded entities, that is politically neutral. So we're going to say, here's what you're allowed to fly, and here's what you're not allowed to fly. And if you're not on the approved list, then you're not allowed to fly that flag. And it makes perfect sense for K through 12 schools and then any taxpayer funded entity, whether it's government buildings on cities, state property, county property, those all need to be on the approved list of flags. Otherwise, they cannot fly them.
Yes, because I like what you said, which is really part of the bill, is that this is taxpayer funded. So it shouldn't be divisive. It shouldn't be something that separates us. It definitely should not be a political ideology. It should be something that unites us. And that is what I like about your bill. It says, let's fly the things that bring us together, that unite us, that we can all agree upon. And I love that because I think what we really need to do right now is unite as a country, find the things. We're always going to disagree. We're always going to have things that we don't agree with, but let's fly the things through the government, business agencies and bureaucracies, and our schools are those that unite us. So the American flag, what's more uniting? Nothing speaks every single person's rights are protected more than the United States flag. And then the Utah flag's great too. Well,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a big fan of the new one, but I love the traditional one. But either way.
Yes.
Okay, so I think it's important to just mention this does not impede on or go so far as to, like, as an educator myself, it doesn't tell teachers what they can wear as far as a lapel or a pin or, have something on their desk, right? It just is flying the flag.
Yes, it's displaying a flag. Now, for a teacher, for example, now, if you're at a private school, this wouldn't affect you.
Of course.
That's not government property. But if you're a teacher, we define clearly in the bill that it's within their official capacity as a teacher. So it's within their work. If they use their desk at school for work, like grading papers or for work, then that would count as a place they would not be able to fly a flag. If it's a city worker, and it's their office, that is okay versus like the front of the building, like the front of a city town hall. But First Amendment does apply to the individual employee of the government, just not the entity itself. And so those are the two distinctions. On K through 12, it's pretty much everywhere in the school because that will work for this legislation. And if it's a city or a state employee, they have their personal space, but the entity itself cannot be pushing or flying the flags.
Okay, so I heard you on the radio and talking about this bill, and then some callers called in, and I actually I could be wrong, but I think it was a lady, I'm pretty sure, who called in and said, "Well, what if they fly a poster? What if
Uh-huh.
you can you and I really didn't know the answer to that question. I thought it was a good question because
Mhm.
what people that don't like to obey the law or want to have their political ideology in schools, they find a way around the law. So
Uh-huh.
how would that work?
So it's a good question, and unfortunately, my bill only addresses flags. I did
Right.
not tackle the pins or the posters or the banners. I tackled flags. Flags is an easy one. It's simple, and here's what I've told others that I'll also say to you and your audience is, if if we start having a big problem and it just starts to revert to posters, and when I say it becomes a problem, right, or it is trying to subvert the current law, which everyone knows that we're trying to be politically neutral here. That's obviously the name of the game. And if we see employees or teachers trying to get around and skirt the law, it will be really easy next year to run new legislation to start looking at posters and pins and banners and other things, because with the intent of what they're trying to do, it makes it easy on our end to say, hey, they're just trying to go around the law, and that's not what we want, nor was the intention of the bill.
Yeah, I love that because we do look at the intent of the bill. That factors into more than just the words, the intent of the bill. And the intent of the bill is to keep government spaces politically neutral.
Correct. Yeah,
So,
and we kept it so narrowly defined this year. It's also what helped get it to pass, which is just flags.
mhm,
I mean, that's an easy start. It's something that we do have a problem with all across the state, and so if we can start there, well, then let's see if that does fix some of the problems, and if it does not, well, then we'll address those other issues.
okay, do you feel like you had a lot of pushback on this bill, or do you think it wasn't that serious of pushback?
No, it was interesting. It depends on where someone got information from on the bill. If they read a Solid Tribune article or headline, which was completely malicious, wrong,
Right.
misleading,
Mhm.
false, then they were
False.
going to hate the bill.
Of course.
And then you had people who, let's say, would read a great article by Brigham Tamako of the Deseret News, which was very just, here's what the bill is, here's what it's doing.
Mhm. Very
I didn't get a
measured, like,
call. Yeah,
not
people
not
didn't.
cited, just like, "Here's the truth."
Correct. And then I wouldn't get phone calls. Now, for those who do want to push political agendas, they hated this bill. They
Right.
absolutely hated it. I mean, I've been called everything under the sun and moon over because of something like this. Received the hate phone calls, the death threats, the
Mhm.
emails. I mean, all of that because I'm trying to say we should have political neutrality. Now, are there some agendas and political movements that are more radical, more pushy than others? Yes. Those are the ones who are pushing back. They really, really, really want to push their agendas on our kids, and they really want to have government buildings also agree with them on these agendas. But it goes both ways, Delane. And credit to our governor. He's the one who asked the question. Are these individuals okay with pushing, one maybe, let's say, liberal type agenda over a conservative, okay with MAGA flags? Are they
Right.
okay with that? And they
Mhm.
all resoundingly said no. And
No.
so it's no different.
Mhm. It really is no different. It is like if I go in there and fly a MAGA flag versus a gay pride flag, I mean, people would come unglued. As well they should, because I don't think that even in a private institution, but especially in a public institution, I should ever be flying a MAGA flag in my classroom. I think it's completely inappropriate because as an educator, we should never come between our students and their parents. We shouldn't be a wedge between their families, and we shouldn't bring our political ideology. We should just be teaching the truth, not perspectives. I mean, we teach both perspectives. That's great. If we teach both sides, I'm all about that. You say this, what they say this. Yeah, that's another issue. But um, I went both the House and the Senate committee, and I was amazed at how many I was. I guess I'm not really surprised, but I was amazed at the testimony that really I found either heartbreaking or ridiculous, where people were saying that if they can't have a gay pride flag in their classroom, that they feel erased. They feel like they're not being respected, and they feel erased by like they're completely erased, and they need that for their security. They don't feel welcome and included in the classroom unless it has a gay pride flag. And I thought, well, that is pretty sad because I don't need there to be a flag, a Christian flag, or a flag about my ideology in the classroom or in the government building. That's something I can hold. And I want to have those things available. That I'm not suggesting that we eliminate those from the public square by any means, but in a government institution, totally inappropriate. And I do think it's sad if someone thinks they can't be happy and they can't be whole if they don't have a gay pride flag in their classroom.
Correct. I think it's horrible. If your identity is attached to a flag, you've got other issues. And my response to many of those people is you should attach your identity to the American flag. I mean, that's one we can all rally behind. It doesn't put one person above another. We're all Americans. We're all, citizens for the state of Utah. Those are your flags. Rally behind those. Fly those flags proudly, and then we don't have issues. That's everyone's flag.
Yeah, Representative, I just want to say thank you so much for running this. I think it's a super important legislation. And you knew that it wasn't going to be smooth and easy. And I think you've handled it really well. And I can see that you're, curled up in the corner because of the death threats and just the marginalizing that you have received. I mean, it's been pretty ugly. The comments that have been made about you have been so ugly. And I love the fact that, in jest, of course, you haven't, you're not you're not huddled up in a corner. You're handling it fine. You're not fragile. I love that.
Oh, thank you.
You're a perfect sponsor for the bill because you can handle it. So that's a great bill, and I'm thrilled. And I guess it doesn't go into effect, I think, does it in July? July 1st?
No, May 7th.
May 7th. Okay. None too soon. And I'm sure you noticed what the Salt Lake mayor did at the county building. So is like, she's got to get it in while she still can.
Hey, go ahead.
Before the bill goes into effect.
As long as she wants.
Right. Okay. The next bill that I wanted to talk about is HB 84, that's your vaccine bill. This is a great bill, and I am so happy that you got it through. Again, you tried this last year, and you made some changes to it. Super bill. I am so excited about this.
Yeah, no, this it's interesting. Last year I ran a bill that was trying to ban mRNA vaccines in livestock. It was actually much more simple, in my opinion. And I had a lot of pushback. I had the Farm Bureau come out against that bill. I couldn't get it out of committee. It really had a lot of pushback, which surprised me.
It did surprise me, but I just want to ask you one question. Was it to stop them from being able to do it, or was it if they did it, they had to be transparent about it? Last year,
transparent. Sorry, yes, sorry. It was transparency. So
because that's why I was so surprised. There was so much pushback. It's like all you're asking for is them to be honest about what they're doing to the product they want to sell you. Shouldn't we know if it has an mRNA vaccine in that food product that we're going to consume?
Yeah, and that's my thing is we have transparency for a lot of stuff in our food, and I think one of the issues that we've seen across America is understanding there is a lack of trust between these institutions like the FDA, the CDC, who have been designed to help tell us, what things are good and what things are bad, and making sure that they're not bought and paid for by companies, whether it's pharma or the food industry. And so after we've had a lot of exposure to some negative issues with those entities, RFK has become a champion for this stuff and obviously helped push Trump over the finish line, getting a lot of Democrat support and those who are concerned about their health. And so it felt right to add on to that with the movement saying we need more transparency with our food. We need more idea of what we're eating. And if anything, to go back and I guess restate, maybe correct what I had said. I don't want to ban stuff because that's a scary place to go. I want to have transparency, just like the bill does, and like you had said. Because and I was talking to my wife about this. If we just said, hey, we need to ban stuff, 'cause we had this conversation. Like, what about these sugars, these dyes, all these horrible things that we see in food? Well, if we ban that, why? Because we think it's bad. Well, what if they think something we like is bad that is good, like red meat? I mean, there was a time where there was a big push to get rid of red meat in our country.
There still is.
And there still is. So we got to be very careful that we do not ban, but we do have transparency. So people know that, like, hey, if you're going to be eating all these preservatives and bad foods, or if you're going to have vaccines in your food, Well, you probably should know if that can have in or like adverse side effects to your body. There's those who are allergic to vaccines. There are those who have those different side effects that are very harmful to them. Well, they should know. And so, if you're going to put a vaccine in your food or into cattle, or if you're going to try to give a vaccine to someone through your food instead of just a syringe, you should know about it. And that's what the bill does. I got unanimous support in the House. I don't know what's going on with some of those Democrat senators, but everyone else voted for it. Um, and it's important. So if they are going to put vaccines in our food to give us those that way, then my bill will say that it has to be classified as a drug and cannot be in the food section of a store.
It is such a good bill, and I'm just thrilled and delighted that it passed. So thank you again. Thanks so much for taking that on. It is amazing that when you're talking transparency, I just can't, I don't know what was going on in their minds. I can't see who can be against transparency? Why do they not want us to know? Why? I mean, just the fact that they don't want us to know tells
Uh-huh.
us a lot.
Correct. And that's why I really had to make sure the conversation on the bill is not about what's right or what's wrong. It was
Yeah,
very similar to the fluoride argument this year.
it is.
It's not
Yeah.
what's right or wrong. It's where do we want transparency, and is it constitutional to force something on someone that they don't want?
Yes, and speaking of the fluoride bill, I mean, I like to present that bill as that bill is a win-win bill because it works, it's a win for everyone. Because everyone that wants fluoride can easily get it. But why should the government be medicating us with a prescription medication that is so toxic that the people putting it in our water have to wear a hazmat suit? And so then people can choose and like that, don't we want to have transparency and choice? Anybody who wants it can get it. Anybody who doesn't now isn't forced on them to bathe in it, shower in it. And the what didn't really come up that much was the damage that it's done to our sewer pipes and our irrigation pipes. It's destroying them. So it's very expensive in a lot of ways and your health. So yeah, great bill. So this is a great bill. So congratulations to you. I am thrilled that that is passed. And have you heard anything about the governor? Any concern?
I not at all. I don't think so. I mean,
Okay,
he and here's my thing too, Delane. I think the governor has done a very good job of not vetoing bills and is really trying to understand where the people are at on this. Um, and on the big issues too. And the one that I'm really going to point out as an example is if he didn't veto like the union bill, there's no way he's going to veto stuff like this. I
I
mean,
feel the
this
same
is
way.
yeah,
He's not
this is
thinking
good
about that one. So
legislation.
this one, there's
Yeah,
no brainer. There's no reason for him not to.
correct. This is good legislation. He's been very open and transparent about where he stands on these issues. And thankfully, it's been siding with the legislature on what we've been doing.
Great. Okay, let's talk about HB 183. That is non-citizen restricted bill amendments, and that one also passed all the way. I thought that one was going to have a harder time. I thought they'd probably hold that and not let it get through the end of the session. So,
No, it's funny. I wasn't expecting a ton of pushback. The reason why is it puts us in line with court rulings that we've seen recently, which says
okay,
if you're not a citizen, you do not have the right to bear arms. Like it's been very clear, and it changes our state statute to go in line with federal policy. So it really was just kind of making sure we're more clear, and that's why I didn't think we'd have issues with it. When people learned about the bill and what it was doing, they kind of backed off and didn't really care. But in the title and of itself, in a summary, people would hesitate and think we were attacking illegal immigrants or non-citizens, which in reality we're not. It's just clarifying our state code that you cannot possess a firearm if you are not a citizen of America, and those Second Amendment rights do not apply to you.
which is totally true.
Correct,
So,
and it makes sense. And here's one of the reasons it's been a problem, even like in Utah. So you get people who come here seeking asylum, which under a Biden and Obama it was everyone. Everyone was asylum
right.
seeker.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. Well,
They learned.
gangs have yeah, exactly, and gangs have figured this out.
But
So they all
just
come
say you're
here.
an asylum seeker and then you
Bingo.
can stay. Yeah.
Bingo. And if you have gang issues, gang related shootings, well, they don't have issues with possession of a firearm. Or if we pull them over and they've got drugs or whatever, we couldn't get them with possession of a firearm in a lot of cases because the statute wasn't clear. But now we can. And like Tren de Agua, which has been an issue from Venezuelan gangs, who all Venezuelans get asylum, they've all been taking advantage of this too and possessing firearms or buying them. Well, now they can't.
That is awesome. When does that go into effect?
I think that one's May 7th as well. I mean, that's like the normal date for most bills.
Okay, is May 7th? I thought it was July 1st.
First. This one might be July 1st.
So,
I could check.
yeah,
I know my flag bill was May 7th.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, that congratulations to you on that one. I know you really did not receive a lot of pushback that in committee. I was kind
No.
of surprised that there was less pushback than I anticipated on that one.
Well,
But
so
um,
Delaney, I have to tell you the story because in committee, if you were there on it, this was so funny. As I was talking about the bill, Senator Hinkins, who I love, he asked a funny. It was a question, but he goes, I used to herd sheep, and a lot of these guys who I'd have out with my sheep at night on the property, they had firearms, but a lot of them weren't citizens. And he's saying, so if this bill goes into effect, they wouldn't be able to go out and use the guns to protect my sheep from coyotes and other animals. And he's like, well, no, sorry. And he goes, oh, well, good thing I don't own sheep anymore. So so I was like, oh, okay. But I was like, for a minute, I was like, oh crap, like,
right.
am I getting into this field that I didn't realize where we're gonna have agriculture start weighing in and destroying my bill here?
That is really interesting too. Who That is fascinating that agriculture or the industry, the the cattle industry would have that. I didn't even realize that. That's really interesting.
Well, and what made me nervous about it, Delane, is it was the ag industry that killed most of our bills to tackle illegal
Yes.
immigration this cycle. Whether it was e-verify, whether it was the driver's license,
Mhm.
whether it was 226, I think was Perucci's bill for
Huh?
the criminal, um, like upping their sentencing. All of those bills were killed by ag. Ag came in hard, and they were the ones who either watered our bills down or killed those bills. And so that kind of made me nervous for a second. But luckily, my bill just didn't get included with those, as it,
It
I
just kinda
guess.
slid under the radar a little bit, really, it seems.
Yeah, yeah, for that reason, right? Like that's other than that, I mean, it made a lot of sense. So
And you know what? That is so difficult, Trevor. You bring up such a good point because, like, we're all in favor of agriculture. We want to protect our farmers and our ranchers. But the reason that they don't like these bills is because our farmers and ranchers do use a lot of people that are here illegally. There's a difference, though, with people that are here legally that have green cards or permits to come and work, either for a short time or a long time, where they are legally here to come versus which is a non-citizen, but they're here legally versus those who come here illegally. I am so frustrated with the businesses who feel like it is perfectly fine to bring people here illegally and have them work for them, and they will protect that. I mean, I've got some really good friends that they work in construction or other industries similar to that, and they're just like, oh, this bill just hurts me, so I'm against it because it hurts me. And I'm like, but look at the big picture. Like, look at how much it hurts our country as a whole and individually to have people come here illegally and then give them jobs, support them, and act like it's perfectly fine and it's going to cost you too much when really it costs all of us too much to have them here.
correct. Yep, that's right.
It's very expensive on all of us because of, we're paying for their education, we're paying for their medical expenses. We all end up paying that. And it does come at the cost of many jobs for many American citizens. So okay. Do you have another bill that you want to talk about? Or I mean, it can be any bill, yours or another one.
No, those were the big ones. I mean, you could probably have on other guests to talk about their own bills and get better insight than I had. I would just say, Delaney, overall it was a good session. We weren't happy with some of the things, whether it was elections or any of the illegal immigration stuff that got watered down. But other than that, we still did a lot of really good things, and we're making progress. Our 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 house is as conservative as it's ever been, which is a really good thing. And
Our house is rocking it. Our house, we
it's
have some great new legislators. You nailed it. It is, in my opinion, more conservative than it has been in. I can't even remember my lifetime. Honestly, I don't remember it being that conservative when I was 18 years old and started getting involved. I never felt this much hope. We have some great legislators that are truly aligned with the constitutional principles.
Correct. And
It's
it's been
very
really good. And what I would tell people is always reach out to your legislator and ask them if you have questions. Most are more than willing to talk about what they're doing and what their intentions are. And even if we don't agree, most of the time, the vast majority of the time, it is with good intentions they're trying to do what they're doing. We just may not agree on how to do it, or they may not realize what is going on or what the ramifications could be.
That is 100% true, because every legislator that I have an issue with their bill, I reach out to them before I would ever go testify. I try very hard to go talk to them before I testify against a bill and see what we can work out, make changes, or at least understand where they're coming from and warn them and let them know so they can be prepared, because I think that's respectful. And I would say that in the House, our representatives are really amazing, and they very much want to do the right thing, and they are very much trying to. And I almost always, they will change the bill or make amendments or try to meet in the middle or try to come to where we can agree or at least come closer together. I would say that without exception in the House. I would not say that about the Senate. We've got a lot of work to do on the Senate. We have made progress. We do have some new excellent senators. I just think Heidi Baldery is very impressive. I think
He is
she's
doing
doing
really
an
good, yes.
amazing job. And so we've got some new great addition to the Senate. He was in the
Hmm.
House, and I think he's helped the Senate very much so. So
I
we're
agree with
making
that a lot,
progress over there,
yes.
but the good bills like that, we should have just rocked on election bills. We should have scored big time this year, which we did in the House, but the Senate just, I think they killed every good, if not every, almost every excellent election bill that we had that passed the House got killed in the Senate.
Hmm.
Very frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay, I do want to talk about HB 124. I did not even, this flew under my radar. I never even noticed it. This is a great bill. This is awesome. So tell us about 124 education industry.
Yeah, so this is one we worked on last year, and it would have passed last year, but we didn't make it through the end of session with it. But this is making teachers' emails and data essentially private, as it should be. So if they're going to be using personal devices, then they shouldn't have to download apps that are going to steal their data and monopolize and use that. They shouldn't get inundated with emails from third-party groups trying to sell them stuff or get them to join groups or clubs or anything like that. Their emails should be between teachers, administrators, and parents. That's who their email should be used for. And if they have to use an app from the state, it's going to be on the apps that we use, like the Safe Utah app. Like those apps need to make sure that they're not stealing data. Like when a teacher consents and agrees to use those apps, that's what they're agreeing to, and that needs to change. And so this should hopefully encourage those apps, if they don't want to lose their contracts with the state or the districts, to change their privacy policies to make sure that they're not stealing that data and selling it.
That is so good. That is really important. That is a great bill. And that passed all the way.
Yeah, that thing got through pretty easily, so didn't
Yeah.
have any problems with it.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the bill until the session was over. I didn't even, it somehow, I missed it. I
Yeah,
don't know how, but I
we
did.
did it quick. We did it quick and early. I mean, that was right out of the gate because we were ready from last year. We just pulled the
Yes.
language over. We didn't change anything, and on we went.
Fantastic. Okay, so what is your overall take on the session?
Good. I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I feel like on the social issues, we rocked it. I feel like both the
Uh huh.
House and the Senate really came through. The when it comes to women, the protection of women and women private spaces, and the flag thing, I think we're amazing. Like we really didn't water it down very much. Most of those bills did not get watered down. They stood strong and they passed overwhelmingly with almost everyone voting for them. And I am very, very impressed. I feel like we really lost on elections. I think we just bombed on elections.
Uh huh.
Um, but I do think, yeah, I think it was I thought I really enjoyed the session. I enjoyed it, which is not what I do. And I usually feel really frustrated. I think we did kind of lose when it comes to our rights on property and the big conglomerates. I think there's a lot of power grabs on that kind of thing. But I do, and you probably don't want to talk about it, but I think we did win on some tax issues. I think we did make some really good strides there. So, and I appreciate you'd rather just have me bring on the sponsors of the bill, so I won't get into it. Representative Tiara Oxiar did an excellent tax bill that I think is really good, and I will have her on to talk about that bill. But yeah, we overall, I think it was an excellent session.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, and so you get to have, well, I guess you're got to run again next year, right?
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I get at least one more session under my belt, so we'll see how that goes.
Right. Well, Trevor, I just want to say thank you so much. You've been really such a great. I am really thrilled with how you have been as a representative. A lot of times people, they have these principles, they sound wonderful, they get in, they get around everybody, and they just start to think like everyone around them. And I feel like you have not only have you not gotten sucked in, but you have been a light to many other representatives, and you're standing strong. I'm really proud of you, and I'm very, very pleased that you are in the House of Representatives. I actually wish you were my representative, but I'm glad that you're in my county and that you're representing the principles of the Constitution and representing the party very well. So,
Well, thank you, Dalane. I really appreciate it. Thank you so
thank you.
much.
Thank you so much for being with us today, and we wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
We'll see you. Bye.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so we have a lot of really important issues that are coming up in front of us. And one of the things that I think is really, really important in something that I am not very strong on, and that's our water bills, our water issues. I have worked on water bills in the past. I feel really, really frustrated because it's very difficult for legislators to see and understand what's really happening with water. It is hard to read the bill and understand, like, what could go wrong? What's wrong with this? And so that is a place where I feel like we've lost a lot of ground over the last several years. And it's because legislators need a foundation, and citizens don't even understand the bills. Legislators don't read the bills, so they don't understand them. And I'm using that very broadly. But as a whole, most legislators do not read the bills. They're very busy. We have the shortest session. It's very hard. I find it very hard to read all the bills myself. In fact, I don't. It's impossible. And I really work hard at reading all the bills. But the water bills are very convoluted. They're hard. And then we have entities that are supposed to be representing and helping the cattle industry, the ag industry. They're supposed to be supporting the citizens, and really they're supporting private-public partnerships. They're supporting the government, really, the bureaucracies or private companies that are big and that want to have control. So that is a place that I would encourage all of us to start to get educated and get involved. If you have an interest in the water bills, I would really love to connect with you. I would love to discuss this with you and help kind of work together as a team, because I feel like the only way we can win this is to create a team, get together and work with each other, and then help to educate legislators, because our legislators are really good people and they're very well intended, as we've expressed. They are really awesome. But what we need is for them to understand this so that they can vote correctly, and they can amend the bills and do what is in the best interest of us as citizens, and make sure that we do have water and that we do have power to use our water, and that it will not be taken over by other entities, which is very much what is happening. So that's something that I think everyone needs to understand and be aware of. Another one is public-private partnerships. Once you enter a public-private partnership with the government, you have violated the principle, and you've also really destroyed the republic, and you have lost. Once that happens, we lose so many freedoms, because it gives the government power to do things it does not have constitutional authority to do. They do it through the business. It also gives the business power to do things they couldn't do as a business, but they do it through the government agency. So it becomes this public and private partnership together, both able to violate the principles of the Constitution, but legally, because they're in partnership. both able to do what the other one should not be able to do. And so it is a great way to destroy our country and lose our freedoms very quickly. So even though we might really like it and we're like, oh, I really like this idea, we need to not do it as a partnership. It needs to be the government can send out bids and have contract out to have things done. That is totally fine because they're not in partnership. The government keeps their power and only their power. The private entity keeps their power and over their power. And then you have a contract where they're contracted out, but it isn't done with picking winners and losers. It's done by putting a contract out saying this is what we need done. Who wants to bid on this? And then we pick who is going to give us the best price, the best value, and the best capability of doing that. And that is very different than them meshing together and becoming one partnership and one entity where we all lose. They gain, but we all lose. Okay, and I just wanted to let you know, we do have the Freedoms Light Constitution Bee that is coming up in April. On the 28th is the 29th is the elementary bee. And the 30th is the junior high bee and the high school bee. It's going to be held at the Capitol. We do have a study guide. So it is so much fun. Just come and watch these young people. These elementary kids are so impressive and how much they know about the Constitution. And I will tell you, they know more about the Constitution than 80% of the present Congress. They know more than really 80% of citizens, maybe more than that. Over 50% of adults in America cannot name the 3 branches of government. Over 50% of adults in America cannot name the 3 branches of government. I'll tell you, these kids are impressive. 5th graders, boom, boom, boom. Legislative, executive, judicial. They know what they are. They know what they do. They know what each branch does. They know the checks and balances. They know the Constitution. They know Article 1, Section 8 holds the powers of Congress. They know Article 4, Section 4 requires every state to have a republic form of government, that the number one job of the executive branch is to secure our borders and protect us against domestic violence. They know this stuff. They know what the Fifth Amendment is, the ability to make changes to our Constitution, the Supremacy Clause in the Sixth. I shouldn't have said amendment. Ooh, that's one of the number one things people get wrong in the B. Amendments versus articles. The Article 5 is the ability to amend the Constitution. Article 6, the supreme law of the land. Article 7, ratification. These young kids in 5th and 6th grade know these principles. They know these things, and it is so fun and so impressive to see them come and challenge each other. And as I say, they all go away winners because they all learned so much. They know much more than they did when they started, and they know more than 80 or 90% of the citizens of America. And they are very courageous, and just it's so fun to watch. And I just have to give them credit and kudos. Same with the junior high and the high school students. It's amazing how much they learn and how much I respect and admire their willingness to just have the courage to come and show up. So the first place winners get $500 cash on the junior high and high school. $500 cash right there on the spot. It doesn't go into a trust or a fund, or you can use it for college. They get the cash right then. We hope that they will use it for good purposes. Second place is $250 cash. Third place is $100, plus they get a trophy, plus certifications. Then we have ribbons and certificates for 4th place, 5th place, and 6th place. And so it is a great opportunity to come and show how much you've learned. And, competitions are great. Even if the prizes aren't so great, just the chance to compete gives you an opportunity and motivation to learn more and to do well. And so this is a chance for that, for everybody to practice, come together. And it really is so much fun and very impressive. It's held at the Capitol. The website for more information is freedoms, with an S, freedomslight.us. Freedoms Light, Light, like a light, like a torch, freedomslight.us, United States. You go on there, the study guide's there, all the information is there. You can register. You need 4, 5, or 6 people to a team. The prizes for the elementary are $100 cash first place, and then it goes down from there. $50 second place, $25 third place. But that also, not only do you get the cash and trophies, it also, what is so awesome is that it really prepares you for the junior high B, where you will do ever so well, because you're the mystique, the kind of knowing how it's going to be. The fear is all removed, and you know what you need to study, and you know your stuff, and it's a little bit more difficult, but not much. And it's amazing. So we see these kids in the elementary that do well, and even those who don't do well in elementary will rise up if they practice and prepare. They will absolutely score, knock it out of the park in the junior high and the high school Bs. So we invite you. You can create your team from school. You can create a family, maybe 4 kids in a family want to get together, or 2 families, neighborhood kids, homeschool, private school, public school, any way that you want to do it. You can create your team. You come up with your team name, and you need to register so that we know that you're planning on participating, because we need to get judges that know what they're doing. And we need to be sure that we're prepared with everything that we need. And the judges are a really important part of it. So we need enough judges for all the teams. And then we need to do the brackets so you know who you're competing against. So the sooner you register, the better it is for us. But you need to register by a week and a half before the B. So towards the middle end of April. Again, it's freedomslight.us, and the Constitution Bees, Tuesday, April 29th, and Wednesday, April 30th. And everyone is welcome. In fact, adults, if you'd like to come and compete, we don't do teams because we never have enough people to create 1 or 2 teams. But adults can come, and there are prizes for adults to compete against each other one-on-one. We also have prizes for kids who, if you don't take first, second, or third, you're eliminated. And those teams, we continue to have competitions and prizes for those students who know a lot, who have studied. They might not take first, second, or third, but hey, they might take some other really great prizes. So we invite everyone to come and participate. We would love to have you come and watch, but we really love you to help get a team together, and you can mentor a team and help them practice. It just takes an hour a week. For most kids, there's enough time. If you do an hour a week, you might want to do 2 hours. I suggest taking your study guide, putting it in the car, and studying it when you're going to school or wherever, when you're traveling. That's just doing it then, asking each other, people in the car, asking each other questions. It's amazing how much you will learn and how fast you will learn it. So, and then put on your calendars. Freedom's Light Festival is September 18th, 19th, and 20th. September 18th, 19th, 20th. It is a free community event, open to everyone. Schools, field trips come, so we invite you to get your school. Go tell your teachers, hey, our kids have this great opportunity. It's free. We can go to this event. Meet the founding fathers, meet the founding mothers face to face, ask them the questions, learn their stories from them first person. Learn the difference between the republic and a democracy. Learn the different forms of government in fun and interactive ways. Learn what the 3/5 clause is, and learn why they did the 3/5 clause and how really genius it was. Learn about the Electoral College. The Electoral College is such a genius. It's just incredible. It has done such a great job to keep the biggest states from just overrunning, and the big cities from overrunning and taking over the entire nation, and not just having, well, let the top 20 cities choose our president for us every year, which is exactly what would happen without the Electoral College. Let's let everybody have some input, and it is genius what they did. Unfortunately, we've changed it way too much, but it's still much superior to just the popular vote. And we want to keep it. We want to preserve it. We must keep and preserve our caucus system, our caucus convention system, which is just amazing. And yeah, so if you're not involved, this is a great chance to get involved. There are many organizations that are involved, that are a great chance and opportunity to get educated and learn so that you can be principled and understand your perspective and where you're going. So I suggest get involved. Utah Eagle Forum, United Women's Forum, Worldwide Women, those are just off the top of my head. There are so many, and so many great people really waking up and understanding how important our liberty is. So we will have more representatives on. We did have Chelsea Hope scheduled to talk about water. I just received a message from her. She's on her way to the emergency room because she's got an emergency, a health emergency. So she will not be with us this week. We pray that everything will go well for her, and we will have her on next Thursday, or next week, I should say, and hope that you will join us then, because it'll be very interesting and you'll learn more than you can imagine about water, the water bills, and how much we need to reverse some of those bills and get our freedom back. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day. Remember, thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you with us. And remember that you are the guardian of your liberty. It's no one else's job. It's each one of us. We must be the guardians of our liberty. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for being with us.